Hi friends, welcome to SV Technology. Coming to the introduction of SQL. So SQL is a standard language for accessing and manipulating databases. SQL means structured query language. So it is a language which is used to communicate with databases, and by communicating database we can access the database and we can manipulate the database, like we can do operations on the database like insertion, deletion, updation. Like these operations we can perform on databases by using the language called SQL. Here I am going to give a brief definition of SQL language. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. SQL lets you access and manipulate database. As I said earlier, we can do access the data, means we can utilize the data which is in databases, and we can manipulate that one, means we can insert new database or new data, and we can delete old data, and we can update existing data. Like that operations we can perform using the language called SQL. It is a standard query language. Query means a question. By using a simple queries we can manipulate the data. So SQL stands for Structured Query Language. You have to remember this. And SQL is an ANSI. ANSI means American National Standard Institute approved standardized language. Means it is standardized by ANSI. ANSI means American National Standards Institute. By this American National Standard Institute, SQL is standardized. So by using this SQL language, what we can do? So simply by using SQL we can execute queries against a database. Suppose we have a huge amount of data and we need some part of the data. By using a query we can extract that part, and we can retrieve the data from database, and SQL can insert records in a database, and SQL can update records in a database. What is meant by a record? So a record is a collection of information or a collection of relative information to the person or object. So SQL can delete records from database, means we can perform these operations on database using SQL. What we can do? We can execute queries, we can retrieve data from database, we can insert new data records, and we can update existing data records, and we can delete records, and we can create new databases, and we can create new tables. Here database means the collection of data tables, and create stored procedures also. In future we are going to learn all of this content. Don't worry about that, I will explain everything clearly. So once do subscribe to my channel, and we are going to next part of this session. So we can create views also, and we can set permissions on tables, procedures, and views. So here I am showing simple diagram related to SQL. SQL is standard, but there are different versions of SQL language. However, to be compliant, they all support major commands. So now we are using SQL 8 version, and I am comfortable with SQL 5, and we are using MS SQL and MySQL, Oracle. All this we can use. In all softwares the commands will be same. Most of the commands will be same. So here simply if you want to communicate anything with the database, here you are the user. So here you are the user, the person who is going to use the computer database, and here database is there. If you want to use this database, if you want to access this database, you need the language called SQL. Why? Computer is a hardware device or hardware component. It will understand only the machine language. SQL is also a machine like language. By using that machine like language SQL, we can communicate with database, any database. Okay, how we communicate with computer using machine language? We, by using SQL, we are going to communicate with database. Okay, it's clear, I think. Next, so here we have to discuss one thing. SQL is not case sensitive language. So why I am talking about this means, if we take any other languages like C language, C++, Java, any other languages, those languages are case sensitive languages. Means if anything we have written in capital letters or uppercase letters, it should be uppercase letter only. But SQL is a non-case sensitive language. You can write either uppercase or lowercase commands. Okay, so you can write select command in lowercase letters or uppercase letter. There is no difference between uppercase letters and lowercase letters in SQL. Next, what is RDBMS? So if we discuss about RDBMS, RDBMS is a Relational Database Management System. So you know that what is data and what is database and what is database management system. So we will discuss few points related to that DBMS. Data means information which is organized information. If we store that organized information in a computer system, then it is called as a database. So the software which we use to manipulate the data or access the data is called database management system. Here RDBMS means Relational Database Management System. Here we will talk all about the tables and their relations. That's it. So RDBMS is the basic for SQL and for all modern database systems like MS SQL Server, IBM DB2, Oracle, MySQL and Microsoft Access. All this comes under Relational Database Management System. So simply Relational Database Management System is a basic to all database management systems like MySQL, MS SQL, IBM DB2, Oracle, MySQL, Microsoft Access, MongoDB. All this comes from Relational Database Management System only. Here RDBMS is a database management system based on the relational model as introduced by E.F. Codd. He is the person, E.F. Codd. E.F. Codd is the person, we can say him as a father of RDBMS. Why? Because so many theories, so many inventions are done by E.F. Codd in RDBMS. Okay, he is the person firstly introduced these concepts called normalization, all these. Okay, RDBMS concepts. Okay, we can call him as a Relational Database Management System father, also father of Relational Database Management System. Here SQL is the only language that can communicate with any RDBMS product. Simply RDBMS is nothing but the collection of tables. So if you want to communicate with that database, any user, suppose I am the user or you are the user, if you want to communicate with that database, anything, that database may be Oracle database software, MySQL software, MS SQL software, anything. This is a software which manages database. Okay, to communicate with these databases, okay, or database, you need a language. Why? Because you don't know machine language and computer don't know your high level language. So as a medium, I am using SQL. SQL is the language which act as a mediator between the user and databases, and it allows you to access the data which is in database management system, and it allows to manipulate also. Next, coming to the attributes of RDBMS, means the parts which we use, we can call it terminology which we use, or objects which we use in RDBMS. We will talk about. Here we talk about what is a table first. So the data in a RDBMS is stored in a database objects which are called tables. Suppose a table is a collection of related data. Suppose if a class is there, okay, that is computer science engineering class is there. If I want to take the information of that class, I will take in the form of tables only. A table is a collection of records or objects and its attributes. Suppose if I take CSC 60 students, means I have the 60 records. In CSC branch we have 60 students, means in the table we have 60 rows. So each row will represent a student, each row will represent a record, and each record is equal to a object in a table. This table is basically a collection of related data entities, and it consists of numerous columns and rows. So a table is a collection of rows and columns. So as I said, if I have 60 students in a class, then the information table of that student, CSC students, will be 60 records, means we can have 60 rows. And what about the columns? The attributes, the information. Suppose if we have student is an attribute, student is an record, the number of columns will be student name 1, student hall ticket number 2, and student age and student marks, etc. will be the columns. Okay, so we will discuss more about this in future also, don't worry about that. So here we can see an example related to the table. A table is the most common and simplest form of data storage in a relational database. So for example, we have a table called customer table. As I said in earlier example, I have taken student table. So here I have taken customer table. So in that customer table, what are the attributes we have? This is the table name, and these are the attributes. The column names are also called as attribute. Okay, the property of an entity is called as attribute. Here customer is an entity, and customer table is a table name, and ID, name, age, address and salary, all these are the properties of this customer. So customer ID, customer name, customer age, address and salary, these are the properties of the customer. So I am calling these as attributes and columns. Here I have a customer, customer ID is 701, his name is Rahul, and his age is 31, he is staying in Hyderabad, address is Hyderabad, and his salary is 50k. Now this will be a record. So this is the information of a customer. His name is Rahul and his ID is 701 and age is 31, and he is located in Hyderabad and he is getting salary 50,000. This is the information related to a person called Rahul, and it is called a record. One row is called one record, and each column is called as attribute. Okay, it's very clear, I think. coming to the field. What is a field? Every table is broken into smaller entities called fields. The fields in the customers table consist of ID, name, age and address and salary. So these are called as fields. Attributes also called as fields. A field is a column in a table that is designed to maintain specific information about every record in the table. Suppose if I take a record called 701, that record name, so that record is related to the person Rahul. His salary is 50,000. Like that, I can gather information by using that field. Okay. What is record or row? As I said earlier, a record is also called as a row of the data and each individual entry that exists in a table. So each row is called as a record in a table, as I said earlier. So each horizontal entity or entry we call horizontal entry is called as a record. So here I am taking an example of one record. So that first record is name is Ramesh and age 32, is from Ahmedabad, address and salary is 2000. This is a record. Like this we can have n number of records. Okay. Next, what is column? So a column is vertical entity. As I said, attribute, and we can call field specific field also. So ID, name, address, salary, all this will be called as table fields or vertical entry or column. Suppose if we take column named address, so that fields will be Ahmedabad, Delhi, Kolkata, Hyderabad, Vizag, Chennai, like this. Okay. Next, we have to discuss about data integrity. So what is data integrity and what is entity integrity, domain integrity, referential integrity, all we will discuss. So if we come to the entity integrity, there are no duplicate rows in a table. So simply we have 10 rows in a table. So we have 10 customers data or 10 students data. That data should be non-duplicatable or non-duplicated data. So for each row there must be at least one unique field will be there. Okay. Next, domain integrity enforces valid entries for a given column by restricting the type, the format or the range of the values. By using this domain integrity, we can restrict the data by using type. Suppose if we are giving a name field, domain means we can call column also. In that column we can restrict the data by giving the data type or format or ranges. So in next class we will discuss about data normalization and what are the normal forms and everything. So thank you for listening my class. Please do subscribe to my channel SV Technology for more videos like this, and please do share to your friends and family. Okay, thank you for being here. This is Mahesh signing off.